Hello, everyone. Those who don't know me, my name is Paul Schultz, and I'm the Director of Development for the College of Computing. And welcome to the Employer Info Session, the value of computing partnerships during COVID-19. Thank you for participating, and I encourage you to use the chat feature and the Q&A portion of BlueJean. But before we get started, I want to give a special thank you to Kristen Steele, Alicia Palmquist, Megan Michael, and Brad Hastings for developing this info session for our employers. We will be sharing the recording post-event and providing an overview of the agenda. And at this point in time, I will turn it over to Kristen Steele. Kristen?
Hi, thanks, Paul. Everyone, welcome to our employer info session. Before we jump into the meat of this presentation, I want to make sure that we hear from you. So we're going to start with a couple of poll questions, just two, to get us talking and started for today. So that poll should be coming up now. The first poll is up. It is, how are you planning to recruit in the fall? If you see it, it's on the right toolbar. If you're on mobile, it should be at the top of your screen. All right, we'll keep that poll open for just a little bit longer. Give you some time. Okay, quite overwhelming. Started off very, very strong on the virtual. Some are still undecided. Okay. All right, we will go ahead and close this poll. Our next question is, if campus is open for on-campus recruiting, and that can be things like interviews, that can also be small networking opportunities, would you come to campus for virtual recruiting? As you take time to answer this question, as it's cycling through right now, that second poll should be popping up soon. Know that we just received guidance last week from the Institute about our fall in terms of classes, what students will be doing. We can say firmly that our CAP program will be virtual, but hearing from you all today and looking at the polls across the nation, we'll be able to see how many companies are able to come on campus, who has restrictions, really just trying to figure out if we need to plan for that. But for the most part, our CAP benefits will be offered virtually. All right, same, really good traction here. Again, we have the Q&A feature on the right, so you can start asking questions. We'll get to the meat in a sec, but let me go ahead and let's close that poll if we have had enough time. Wonderful. So I'm going to turn this over to Brad Hastings, who will give you a snapshot of the College of Computing and our student population, as well as a little history about the college. Brad?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brad Hastings. I'm the Senior Director of Development for the College of Computing, and again, I'd like to welcome you today. Just want to share a few things about the College of Computing that hopefully you can see the information on the screen. With respect to enrollment numbers, these are our last year, current year enrollment numbers. You can see that we have almost 2,800 total undergraduates in 2 degrees. And then on campus, we have about 800, just a little over 800 master's students and almost 400 PhD students. And then about 9,600 students who are online in our online Masters of Computer Science and our online Masters in Cybersecurity. And this fall, we'll be welcoming the class of 2024, and that class is currently our largest class, or tentatively scheduled to be our largest class ever. We admitted about a little over 1,100 students. As you can see, 803 have submitted deposits. Of that group, about 760 or so are for computer science, and then 36 for our Bachelor's of Science in Computational Media. And you can see some of our diversity numbers there. 18% are represent underrepresented minority groups, and 27% are female. And that tracks pretty well in line with our overall undergraduate diversity numbers, which you can see, as well as closely tracks to our 3-year percentages for degrees awarded. So, okay, we want to go to the next slide, which is our quick history of the College of Computing. So we are the first public university to have a College of Computing, Georgia Tech, and that happened in 1990. Carnegie Mellon is the first institution to have a College of Computing. They beat us just by a little bit, but we can still claim that we're the first public university. Innovations, a number of innovations that you'll see. I'm going to talk about 2. One is the online master's degrees that you've seen, and you probably are all very familiar with. Many of you may have employees who are in the programs currently, or who have already graduated. In computer science, we have, again, about just over 9,000 right now students, and over 2,000 alumni from that program already. Cybersecurity has about 700 students currently, and analytics has about 2,000 students currently. So quite a number of master's students in those programs. Another key innovation for the college is the Threads curriculum. This is at the undergraduate level, and this happened in 2006, sometime in that time frame. So every student at Georgia Tech has the ability to select 2 of 8 threads. So their degree in computer science, each student can have a different track based on their interests. And so that's been an extremely popular and extremely innovative program for the college. So at this point, I'll turn it back over to Kristen.
Excellent. So piggybacking off of Brad's comment about our threads, Georgia Tech and the College of Computing has always been innovative. Those threads for CS and the CM allow our students to become full computationalists. They're able to pivot in their careers and also choose degree programs to specialize in if they decide to go for a master's or a PhD, because they have the foundation of computing. And again, that's what sets us apart. We are nationally ranked in our degree programs. You can see that we have 19 total degree programs, including our online masters, as Brad mentioned. For the abbreviations, I just want to make sure I go through those. CSC is Computational Science and Engineering. It's a blend of the natural sciences as well as your physical sciences with computing. We also have ACO on the PhD side. It's Algorithms, Combinatorics, and Optimization. And then CS, Human-Computer Interaction for the master's, Human-Centered Computing for the PhD, and ML is for Machine Learning. Now, what sets the College of Computing apart in this environment is that we have a dedicated Career Services Center. So you may have heard of the Center for Career Discovery and Development, that is C2D2. It is the All Majors Career Center. They host events like All Majors Fair, interviews, and other things. We collaborate with them, namely on our offer guidelines, as well as our reneg policy. That's one of the ways that we do collaborate. But because we are growing, and we're growing so quickly and being innovative, we are at the pulse with in-house services. We're at the pulse of industry, academia, and research. So we're really able to kind of tackle what's going on with students, as well as our faculty, and what's happening immediately in industry, and being able to respond and help our students. In that way, our Career Services Center has 3 main components. The first is career advising and development, again, tailored to a computing student. We work with both on-campus and our online master students. We also have our corporate affiliates partnership. So the team that you'll meet today works with Paul and Brad to implement the benefits. As we go through this presentation, we'll talk a little bit about the gold tier benefits, which includes the student organizations. In the College of Computing, we have our own student organizations. There are about 21 or 20, well, we're getting close to 24. I'm working on some approvals right now. but they are broken down into different tracks, if you will. So the first are career skills. Those are your mobile development clubs, your UX UI design, machine learning and AI, cybersecurity. Again, clubs that are college of computing clubs that are in-house. The social clubs, the esports. We used to have a wonderful cosplay club, trying to bring that back. Always, I have my onesie in my office now, but I was told not to wear that. But we have clubs like anime for students just to get together and kind of socialize and have some fun. And then, of course, we have student organizations that are representing underrepresented students, those minority groups that D&I recruiting will be looking for. So on the undergraduate side, we have minorities in the College of Computing. We do have some grad students who attend that club, but mostly undergraduate students. Women in the College of Computing, and we also have a grad women in the College of Computing. With our CAP partnership, you're able to tap into those orgs. You fully support those organizations, and those orgs will collaborate with you once you are a CAP partner. How to engage beyond, I'm going to turn that over to Alicia Palmquist so that she can talk to you about that.
Hi, everybody. One of the questions that we often hear is how do corporations engage with students in the college if you are not yet in the CAP program? So first is our biannual career fair. Our fall fair will be held virtually on September 16th, and our spring dates will be announced this November. Registration for the fall fair is open through Handshake right now. We also encourage employers to post positions through Handshake if you're looking to target computing students specifically. If you're interested in widening your reach to the entire institute, we recommend posting opportunities through the Center for Career Discovery and Development, Simplicity's account, CareerBuzz. Through that office, you can also schedule interviews and then general recruiting events. And then with that, we will get into the bulk of our presentation with Miss Megan Michelle.
Thank you, Alicia. I hope you all are doing well. Thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon here on the East Coast. So let's talk about what is really the value add of having a computing partnership during COVID-19. We know, as we saw in the poll earlier, that many of you all might not be able to travel to campus as we enter fall 2020. And most importantly, we want to make sure that we're keeping recruiter and student safety top of mind. So with this in mind, as Kristen mentioned earlier, we've decided that all of our CAP engagements will be fully virtual this fall. However, I know from a lot of our conversations with you all, you're concerned about the value add as we move to a virtual platform. What does that mean? You know, are we going to be losing access to certain students, or is it going to be a virtual overload? So to get us started, let's talk about what it means to really level up. Keeping in mind the playing field nationwide for university recruiting, it's going to become even more competitive for you to communicate your brand and attract our students. The playing field, when you think about it, is really filled with so many companies, right? So you're going to want to level up your strategies as we begin fall recruiting so you don't get lost in the mix. I wanted to share this quote from a Handshake article that was posted in April 2020 about how 99% of students want their career centers to help them connect with employers virtually. Our partners in the past in the College of Computing have really benefited from the fact that we can narrow the scope, provide targeted access to our students, and serve as an extension of your team. Again, we know that travel is going to be limited, and a lot of your strategies might already be shifting to a virtual format as we're approaching August. So with lots of companies moving their recruiting activities virtual, you're going to want to partner with us so we can really help your brand cut through that noise. You're not going to want to be one of the hundreds of virtual recruiting events that are happening this fall. Think about our team as your personal consulting team here at the Georgia Tech College of Computing. We have the expertise that you need to serve as an extension of your team as we communicate your brand to our students. Partnering with us through CAP will really allow us to build customizable programs for you and work individually with you all, as we know each of you all have a unique brand. We're really able to do this easily because, one, we've already been approaching CAP with a very targeted focus, but also, as Kristen mentioned, we have our pulse on industry and what the students want and need in terms of their academic and professional lives. you're going to need to have your pulse on both if you really want to be successful this fall, especially if you're thinking about transitioning your strategies to virtual with us. We have access to the student organization leaders. We have typically over 20 student assistants that are computer science and computational media students that really help provide us with this knowledge so that we can then turn that around, share it with you so you can build those customizable programs. Additionally, using our knowledge base as event coordinators, Alicia and I can work with your team to moderate and even set up your virtual events. Just like in the past when we were able to provide information on best vendors to use on campus, best caterers, or even the best location to reserve, we know the best resources virtually as well. So we're really able to work with you, serving as a partner more so than just directing you as a facilitator to different resources. In regards to CAP customization, we always start our process with CAP with an initial consultation and goal development. This really allows us to kind of walk through your goals, see what you're looking for in fall, what are your metrics, and then see how we can tailor that through the CAP program. So that might mean looking at some of the different topics that you want to present and making sure that we're looking at our overall calendar of CAP events. So that way you're not repeating another topic that another partner presented on, or making sure that your topics are really tailored to the time of year. So maybe leaving the resume editing events for the beginning of the semester rather than, the end of the semester where we can focus on more well-being events. At the end of our spring semester, we even had a couple of partners that still wanted to engage with our students, and this is where we were able to see what does virtual engagement look like at Georgia Tech College of Computing. I mean, it's going to be different. We can't lie. It's going to be very different than having an in-person interaction, but we want you to know that working with CAP will really still get you those one-on-one interactions virtually with students. We're going to be able to partner with you in that way so you still feel comfortable as you're going through the fall. The partners that we had engage with us at the end of the spring, they did a virtual day in the lobby, a virtual office hours event. We even did a virtual tech talk with a demo. We also even had a virtual workshop on leveraging LinkedIn with NCR. As you see these pictures here on the slide, this is an example of a blog post that I created for NCR when they hosted their event. Instead of just branding the event at the beginning and then branding their virtual event during, as through our CAP partnership, we really wanted to make sure we were providing full support for NCR and giving them an extension of the brand even after the event. So this blog post is one of those great examples of how we did that. We were able to share this blog post on Handshake Resources, so that way it lives there for as long as we want it to live there for the students to access. And this is especially important to remember that moving into a virtual platform, although it makes it more easy and it's more accessible for students, sometimes it also might make it more difficult just simply because if some of the classes are online or if there's a lot of other things that are going on online, and of course they're doing their homework online, that's a lot to take on as a student. So being able to provide them with this blog post after NCR's event really helped NCR's branding, but also showed that NCR is providing resources for the student throughout the semester, which was really helpful. So we were even able to put the PowerPoint here, we put the recording of the session, and as you can see, this is very branded with a lot of content, even including the Q&A, where we were able to share real questions that students asked during the session. And this is something that, we didn't even really think about doing last year when it was in person. Typically in-person engagements, you would just go to the event, whoever came to the event, and the information that was shared there really stayed there unless you shared with us brochures afterwards. So this is just an example of one of the unique ways through CAP that we're really able to go above and beyond the basic virtual event. We can really give you full support from all the way from the beginning, during, and after. Another great example was Bank of America. A lot of companies we saw at the end of spring semester, they wanted to go ahead and do their own virtual series, which is pretty easy now, right? Everybody can kind of do a webinar. It's not that difficult to set up, a link and get a topic going in the presenters, but how are you going to make that tailored to Georgia Tech students? That's the real key question that we want to have you all remember as we're moving into fall. Bank of America did a great job with this as they started their webinar series at the end of spring, but they really tailored it so that way the topics were reflective of well-being, knowing that students were really stressed on campus and how students had to leave mid-semester campus. Bank of America really partnered with us and shared all of their virtual webinar series that are tailored for well-being. That's just another great example of going beyond the traditional career-related topics and going beyond a basic virtual event to really make it a targeted strategy for both our team and your teams as well. So really, all in all, we're really here to help serve as an extension of your brand and really create that customized, true partnership so that way you can meet your goals and strategies, even if your engagements are virtual. This fall, as Brad shared, we have almost over 800 first-year students that are entering our class. And knowing that they're going to be walking into the door with so much more experience than first-year students have in the past, if they don't know your brand now, you're going to spend so much time trying to brand them later. So it's really key that as we think about branding and moving into virtual events and partnering with us this fall, let us serve as that extension of your brand for you so that we can really take it to the next level. So while I can talk all day, I'd love for you all to really hear from some of our students and alumni, as well as some of our employers that have shared their experience engaging with CAP partners. So at this time, I'll ask Kristen to go ahead and queue up some of our videos so you can really see firsthand.
Hi, my name is Stephen Thomas. I graduated from Tech back in 2010 with a degree in computer engineering, and for the past 2.5 years or so, I've been working for Urginet doing automated testing. Back at the beginning of April, we did a couple of virtual events that would have otherwise, in other times, been conducted in person at the College of Computing. We did a virtual office hours section, and then later in the day, a virtual tech talk. The office hours were nice. That was handled through the Blue Jeans platform, and we were able to interact with students directly, able to see their questions as a recorded list, and then myself and other team members were able to go through and give them feedback on that and carry on a conversation in that manner. Later in the evening, we did the tech talk, and some colleagues of mine were able to present from home as they talked through a presentation and eventually did a live demo. For us as a company, it was nice to be able to get some exposure to prospective employees coming from tech and the College of Computing and show them the sort of stuff we work on. And as a student, I think this is exactly the kind of event that I would have liked to attend. It would be nice to see what a company is working on, what kind of technologies they're touching on, and just getting a chance to talk to a set of employees would have been a really good experience. So I look forward to having future experience like this with the College of Computing going forward.
Everyone, my name is Berta LeMond, and I'm the team lead of technical campus recruiting at HubSpot, based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We had been looking into recruiting at Georgia Tech for quite a while, but it wasn't until the 2018-2019 academic year that we decided to sign on as a CAP partner. The progress that we have made in just over 2 years is truly incredible. We know that we would not have been able to do it without CAP. The support that their employer relations team provides is truly second to none. They are always happy to hop on a quick call with me and my team to chat through new ideas, really help us in building those relationships with the student orgs on campus, and sit down and really take the time to build out strategies that are tailored to us and the approach that we like to take on campus. Again, the progress that we have made has been tremendous. All of the students that we hired our first year as a CAP partner are actually still working at HubSpot, either now in full-time engineering roles or came back and are now working with us for another internship, which is amazing. We know here in campus recruiting that students are your best ambassadors on campus, and our Georgia Tech interns have definitely proven that to be the case. Even with all the progress that we have made, we know that there's still a lot of work that we can do on campus and a lot to do that will, help us to build our brand. So we are really excited to sign on again this upcoming year as a gold sponsor for the CAP program. We know that the CAP team has our back 110% and is ready to innovate, ready to do whatever we want to on campus, whether it be virtual or in person. And we're really looking forward to it. So I just want to say thank you so much, CAP team, for all of your help, and we'll see you soon.
Hi, my name is Clayton Lawrence, and I graduated from Georgia Tech in 2018. Back in the day when I was a student at Tech, I led the Android Development Club. And the two primary goals for this club were to, one, teach students how to make Android apps, but also to expose them to industry knowledge so they could see what success looks like on the other side of their degree. And if you want to be let in on a little secret, I couldn't do it on my own. That's where the CAP program came in. You see, the CAP program provides a really strong network for industry knowledge and networking that I was able to tap into as a student leader. So when it was time to have a hackathon or a workshop or a tech talk, it was easy to find people who wanted to reach out and mentor and educate the members of my club. Personally, I found that the CAP program was helpful because I was able to find my own job at NCR. And once I started working for NCR, I was able to easily come back to Georgia Tech, bring the squad with me, and present about what NCR was doing in the mobile space. So overall, the CAP program is just a really great program to foster both opportunity and outreach.
Hi, my name is Mary Beth Lord, and I just finished my first year as an undergraduate student in the College of Computing. One of my favorite parts about the College of Computing is all the opportunities that we had with our CAP companies. The days in the lobby definitely made it a lot easier and manageable for me as a freshman to build one-on-one relationships with the recruiters without having to be nervous. Before entering the College of Computing, I barely knew any of our CAP companies other than just the name of the company, and I really didn't know that working there could actually be a possibility for me. But from opportunities like my freshman LEAP seminar, where I got to learn more about the companies, and emails from the COC, and just CAP events in general, I was able to learn a lot about these companies and build personal relationships with the recruiters because of the exposure.
Hey everyone, my name is Aman Agrawal, and I graduated in May of 2019 from the Georgia Tech College of Computing. I currently live in Seattle and the sun's out, so I'm going to make this super quick. In college, I wanted to find the perfect career starter like every other student. I was looking for opportunity, culture, and I wouldn't be opposed to a nice salary. CAP companies and career services within college computing played a huge role in exposing me to opportunities, helping me picture myself at various companies, and ultimately receiving offers for the right job. The number of companies that came to the computing career fair is amazing, but I quickly learned that the career fair only exposed me to which companies wanted me as a potential employee. Researching for an hour, talking for 2 minutes with a recruiter, and reading a brochure usually left me with more questions than answers. I want to know that the company I'm going to sign up for values its workers, is tackling big problems, and is interested in investing in me as an employee. I would have never considered a career at NCR if they had not brought in their engineers to talk about what they did at a Day in the Lobby event, or Lockheed Martin had they not given a tech talk on hard problems they were trying to solve, or Home Depot had they not exposed me to developing on their platform at a hackathon. Their presence opened my eyes to what life for software engineers could look like at these companies and what I could offer. It's tough to identify the right companies and the right jobs as a student. I still have a vivid memory of coming to the department and saying I spent days looking for and finally found the perfect job. It was a perfect blend of technical development, customer interaction, and opportunities to learn. After an hour, they were able to show me 5 other companies offering the same opportunities and gave me contacts I could reach out to find out more. Once I knew about the companies, career services helped highlight my achievements on my resume, prepare for interviews, and make sure I presented the best version of myself. They made sure I was talking to the right companies. Every interview I went to, I was sure I wanted to work at that company. I was also sure that I was not wasting a company's time and they weren't wasting mine. It's a big industry with a lot of confusing opportunities. CAP partners in the College of Computing helped navigate my search and help me succeed in choosing the right job.
I have attended many CAP events over the course of my employment. The ones where students grow professionally the most and the connection between companies and students is strongest is when there's a two-way discussion about the presented topic. Travelers Insurance Dinner and Panel on Cybersecurity is a great example of engaging students through one-on-one conversations, an interview with their CTO, and a panel discussion on cybersecurity. Chatting with their employees about the company's work environment over dinner was a wonderful way of learning about what it's like to work for travelers. The interview with their CTO, who is a Georgia Tech alumni, was inspiring. Not only did she talk about her professional journey, but also her personal journey and the obstacles she's faced during both. She was then joined by the Vice President of Cyber Risk Management for a discussion on the outlook of cybersecurity. Learning more about the field from experts in the field was fascinating, and the way they tackled audience questions helped everybody in the room, even those with little cybersecurity knowledge, better understand the topic at hand. Another example comes from Facebook, who hosted an interview skills panel of engineers and managers who were all about 3 to 8 years out of college. It was refreshing to hear real experiences of interviews that went well or poorly, and how each person handled those situations. While learning the basics about interview skills is always helpful, hearing real-world experiences really helped with preparing for the unexpected in the interview process, and avoiding pitfalls when preparing. These are just some of the examples of ways that I've been able to grow my professional skills by attending CAP events.
Excellent. Now that we've heard from our students and alumni in video, we really wanted to make sure that you heard from students who are continuing into the fall, as well as our staff. So if you can use the Q&A portion to start drafting questions, I will get us started with our student panel if they can turn their videos on as well. And we'll do some brief introductions so that you can hear from them and learn a little bit about what they expect for the fall, as well as the ways that they've engaged in the past. So let's see if we have videos up and testing. We'll start with Alvin. If you can give us your full name, your year in school, as well as any activities or engagements you've been in, and then, of course, what you're doing this summer. We'll do intros first.
Okay. Hi, my name is Alvin Bao. I'm a rising second year, and I'm a computer science major. I'm involved in programming team and iOS development club. And so my plan for the summer was I just finished up an internship where I was working on ML and mobile dev. It was for a small startup, and I'm currently taking summer classes.
Next, Amaya.
Yeah, so hi guys, I'm Amaya Salomon. I'm a computer science major. I'm a rising third year, and out on campus I'm involved with minorities at the College of Computing and Girls Who Code. And this summer I'm currently interning at Microsoft where I'm working on cloud service.
Wonderful. Next up, oh, Jason just popped up, so we'll go with you, Jason. Sorry, Helena.
Hello. Oh, okay. My name is Jason Gibson. This is my 6th year at Tech. So I did my undergraduate here, my BS here, started my master's here, and I'm now starting a PhD in robotics in the fall. During my time here, I was also president of one of the larger COC orgs, and currently I'm a GRA funded for the summer.
Wonderful. Last but not least, Helena.
Hello everyone. My name is Helena Makindinge. I'm a rising 4th year at Georgia Tech. I'm also a CS major. I am currently involved in HackGT, which is our school's hackathon organization, and the Women at College of Computing. And this summer I'm just kind of working on some personal projects and things like that.
Wonderful. So first question I have for anyone who wants to pick this up is, what was your experience like in March? We were going to spring break, and then we got an email saying we're not coming back. So what was that like in terms of moving to virtual, just as a student in and of itself, but also thinking about careers and moving forward?
I guess I can go. It's like an out-of-state student. It was kind of scary at first because you have to pack up all your stuff, you have to say bye to your friends. But I thought it was really easy transitioning to online. Just because the professors are so accessible, you can just ask them anything, and just honestly, because all of us, like as tech students, we're so like tech savvy, especially in like these times, that like it wasn't that hard, setting up your blue jeans or, going on Canvas and checking your assignments.
Yep. Anyone else?
Yeah, so for me, it was pretty uncertain because, you're on campus and you're having these in-person classes and you have, a workflow developed, and then you have to go back home and you might have siblings. So I have like 2 little brothers, and it was just like a lot of noise all the time. So I was like, you just have to kind of maneuver, and a lot of my peers were doing the same thing, just trying to shift everything around and figure it out. So, but it was fine towards the end.
Yeah. What are you all expecting for the fall? Helena? If you can tackle that one.
Yeah, I'm personally a little weary about how things are going to work out in the fall. There's been some mention of like this hybrid sort of like learning plan. And then being an out-of-state student, I'm not sure what that will look like. And yeah, there's just like a lot of things like up in the air right now. Like how much of it is going to be, in person, how much of it is going to be online, what classes are going to get that priority in terms of who's going to meet in person more and who's not. Yeah, I felt like having everything either virtually or everything in person was just a lot easier because you knew kind of what to expect in terms of like classwork and like when to meet and when not to meet. So yeah, I'm just a little wary of how that's going to work, but
yeah. So one of the things you're mentioning is the hybrid model for classes. Georgia Tech is opening up this fall, so students will be moving in. Some classes will be in person part of the week. The larger classes will primarily be virtual. And then we'll have some kind of hybrid model for TA support as well as in-classroom support. So that's where one of those uncertainties lie, is which exact classes. Is it my morning class or my evening class? For grad students, it's going to be a little different. I'll turn this to Jason and kind of say, what are you hearing from your peers in your labs as well about the fall?
Yeah, I think people are most concerned with getting back to research right now. Like we just started the ramp up to get back and what the requirements look like to actually do the things that we need to do in order to fulfill our research obligations and publish, because there's that ever increasing pressure to publish. And there's also been a couple people I know whose graduation has been pushed back a little bit because they can't get their thesis because they can't have hardware results. Right. So I think that's mostly concerning on the grad student side.
Yeah, so Jason and I spoke a little bit before this, and we were talking about his lab. And in the interactive intelligence side, there's one team member who had an internship with a company, but also others are still going to be focused on their research. So the scope is going to be different, yeah?
Yeah, it just kind of depends. I mean, the best thing for our lab is if you're doing a GRA, because then you're working on our projects, but at the same time, industry experience is super valuable.
Right. So there are a couple of folks in here who said they're involved in clubs and organizations or being leaders. And Jason, you're an alum, and you're the president of RoboJackets. Have you heard from your peers? Because I know you're still engaged with them to a certain degree. So have you heard from them any concerns? And then I'll turn it over to Helena for WAC as well, because we're meeting with you all as orgs to kind of figure out what the fall is going to look like within the guidelines. But what have you heard from your peers?
I think it's just a lot of, so RoboJackets we do a lot of in-person hardware work, which is kind of complicated to us. So the requirements that we have for like my research lab are also going to apply to RoboJackets, but it's not as easy to transfer because you go from 3 or 4 grad students working on one piece of hardware to 300 undergraduate students trying to collaborate. What I hear is a lot of fears of uncertainty, especially about recruiting. I mean, we need constantly to recruit people every single year, otherwise the club just kind of withers and dies. So I think our biggest concern right now is recruiting, and then after that, how do we actually get back to somewhat normal operations?
Great. Helena?
Yeah, so I've just kind of been like thinking about this. In terms of like meeting virtually, our club still has to like discuss that, and we're having that discussion relatively soon. And I know we're having like the COC orgs discussion. But I'm kind of optimistic about how like meeting virtual will offer more flexibility in terms of like members being able to get exposure to CAP sponsors. Typically when we have our meetings, they're in the evenings on like during weekdays, and people may have like study groups set up, or they may have office hours and things like that to go to. So I'm hoping that like having virtual meetings will allow people to be one, less intimidated by like talking with CAP sponsors and meeting with people, just because, you know, it's not like that direct in-person contact. You don't have like everyone else around you. You kind of just like focus on what you're getting from like the presentations. And then also being able to just like hop online and like hear what the sponsors have to say and like ask questions whenever, you know, you have time and whenever you feel like it. So I'm actually pretty optimistic about how that's going to go in the fall, and I'm hopeful that, you know, we can pull that off.
Right. Alvin and Amaya, you both are involved in student organizations. I know, Alvin, you're in the programming team and have participated in other clubs as well. Same, are you excited about the ability to continue to network with employers?
Yeah, for sure. So like I really thought it was cool one day in programming team when they brought in Green Hill Software. They gave like a little talk about, you know, what they were offering. And it's just like just to see that like more involvement and just more like engagement with people. I would really, you know, be excited for that in the fall.
Yep. I'm going to turn over to one of the Q&A questions. Has what you're looking for changed when you're looking at employers based off of the landscape that we're in right now in terms of remote hiring or remote internships? What has changed in your perspective?
So I would say that people are looking a lot more for internships for the fall due to the uncertainty what's going on with classes. And a lot of people really do not like online classes. So there's definitely a bigger increase that I've heard of everyone looking for fall and spring internships more than we would see on a normal year.
Yep. Anyone else? Amaya, I see your head nodding.
Yeah, I've heard the same. A lot of people are saying, you know, well, if things are just going to be so uncertain and up in the air, they don't want to risk their GPA, so they're saying, you know, it just might make sense to just do an internship in the fall. So yeah, I've heard the same.
Yeah, and we're seeing that on Handshake. I've been approving jobs and postings, and those fall internships are coming in. They normally start in June, but we're seeing a ramp up in fall internships. So we expect students to continue looking for those and kind of weighing their options. Anyone else want to kind of chime in on that question?
Well, sorry, but I still think like relatively like speaking, like it's still the same, still consistent when you're like talking to people. You want to see that like, you know, the company values you like as a person and like truly like cares about your career development and, you know.
Yeah. So what about some of your major concerns for the fall in terms of recruiting? You know, we're going to have a virtual career fair for the College of Computing. Surprise, you heard first. We've already told the employers, and our staff knows, but you all are hearing it first for students. Any concerns that you may have in terms of fall recruiting efforts? Because with the exception of Jason, everyone else is going to be looking for opportunities next, right? I see head nod. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I think the only concern that I can like really think of right offhand is I guess being able to like communicate with the recruiters in the way that you would be in person. Maybe not everyone translates like virtually. So that could be an issue that some people may have. Also, when it comes to like the flexibility and time that a recruiter has to talk with you and meet with you, I'm not sure if that will be decreased because, you know, they want to have like it depends on the model that they go with. Maybe it'll be like a lobby sort of thing. They talk to everyone at once, or maybe it'll be like these brief one-on-ones where they're just kind of like going through constantly. I think it really just depends on the format and how the recruiters want to speak with everyone. But yeah, I would say the biggest concern is like being able to have like in-depth conversations in like such a short time, or being able to translate well like on camera as you do off camera, and vice versa. So
yeah. Other concerns?
I was just piggybacking. Yeah, that in-person element is pretty huge. I feel like you're able to connect a lot more in person, you know, just as humans. It's just how our nature is. So I know that's a big concern for a lot of people.
Yeah. So I want to piggyback off of the video that we shared. Mary Beth mentioned that she didn't know our CAP companies. She knew them by name, right? We knew State Farm for insurance, but she didn't realize that that was an opportunity for her down the road. And anyone can speak on this. This question is, what was your experience like getting to know these CAP partners or companies and finding opportunities at Georgia Tech as students?
So I can talk a little bit about the organizational side. I can very clearly state that the interactions that we have with CAP on the student organization side are by far the best interactions I've ever had on campus with companies, because it allows us to get a little bit more focused. If a company comes in, they're like, hey, we're looking for people with like this very specific skill set or this specific interest, that goes to Kristen. Kristen's like, oh, cool. And then she knows who to talk to on all the student organizations, and then that information gets floated all around. And then me as a student leader, I can hype up the people that actually want to be involved in that, and that just gives it a much better tinge. I can say that with absolute certainty.
And I can also speak personally to that whole idea of like being able to meet with CAP companies in person. So my sophomore year, I was still looking for an internship. And to preface this, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. So there's a company that came and spoke to us, to the women at College of Computing, Assurient, and they have their headquarters in Nashville, Tennessee, but I'd never heard of them or anything like that. And they were like an insurance company. I was like, what do I want to do at an insurance company? Like, what is there for me as a CS major? But being able to speak with the recruiters personally about like my interests and my skill set, they were like, oh, you sound like you would be great for the job. Like, let's connect you. Let's get this process started. Let's get this process going. And then I ended up interning there over the summer, and it was a great experience. So definitely like being able to connect with CAP sponsors through student organizations like kind of break a lot of barriers that would otherwise be there if you were to talk to them in like bigger settings at like career fairs or just like recruiting events by the school.
Yeah. So Alvin, you and I have been speaking quite a bit this summer on a number of occasions, but one of the things that we've talked about is your first year and learning about not only yourself and growing as a student, but also looking at employers. I know that you were with a startup this summer, but does your experience look a little bit like Mary Beth's? You came in, you're like, I know there's some companies. What does that look like for you?
So I guess coming in, like I didn't really have a lot of like programming experience. Like I started coding like in August, right before my first year, and I was pretty overwhelmed actually. But then you realize like there's plenty of opportunity out there. Like you go to the career fair. I mean, you know, it's a little scary at first. You're talking to these people at these like huge companies, and you're just like, well, you know, I'm just a first year. But I thought it was a great experience because like they make it like so easy to just like approach them. Like Kristen always advocates for, hey, just go up to a company and just talk to them, right? You never know what they have to offer. And you know, also what I thought was great for my first year was like these on campus, like, you know, like these tech talks or like for example, I went to a Facebook like talking about like their interview process, and they had like a bunch of former like alums just speak on like their experience like in the industry. I thought that was like, you know, very eye opening and just like just a great experience overall.
Yeah. Did anyone read our marketing messages, our tailored messages during the school year, even during COVID-19 when we were all quarantined?
I guess I can go again on that.
Yeah.
Well, like for email marketing, I would like read like pretty much everything that came in my inbox because I was always looking for an opportunity because, you know, as a first year, you're hungry, you want to get out there and you want to, you know, intern at these companies. But also like the reason why I reached out to Kristen in the first place was because of an email. Like COVID-19 happened and then an email came and it was like, you know, we still have advising available, and I like decided to reach out.
Yeah. Anyone else? Because I know some of you were in as well.
Even me, who's not looking for any employment because I don't plan to graduate in the next 5 years, still reads all of the emails because it's still a great opportunity to interact with companies whenever they do come through. And it's just so much easier than anything else I've ever seen.
Yeah, so I actually switched my major so this past year, and the emails were super helpful, and it just made me feel like, you know, someone had my back, like the COC had my back. You know, I knew where to turn if I needed to start looking for an internship or whenever I wanted to start. I felt supported, so they were super helpful for me as well.
Yeah. So another question that came in from the audience is, what are your thoughts on recruiters or partners reaching out to you about 2021 opportunities? Is it too soon? Do you have any suggestions or feedback on that?
I can say personally in the College of Computing, it's never too soon because kind of like what Alvin was saying, like everyone's always constantly looking for opportunities and experience. It's never too soon. Like, yeah, it's never too soon. So there are people out there who want these jobs desperately. So, yeah.
I think Alvin said it. You guys are hungry. You're looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of like untapped talent. So like to say like, yeah, we're desperate for these, and it's never too soon.
Yeah. So another question that came in, is it a concern for you that you may be expected to respond to a company without ever having been able to visit, if we do this virtually, right? What's the way that you all feel is going to be most helpful for you? I mean, one, the concern, right? And two, how do you make decisions now being remote, or even if you're on campus and they're recruiting remotely or virtually? Is that a concern?
I would say it is a concern. I also see another question on here that's saying like what kind of events would be helpful or be the most in demand. And I said, and I guess you could like tie that question in with this question also, like in terms of people being concerned whether like they should accept an offer or not based on like the environment or like the work culture. I would say like an event that ties into that whole experience. Like what is it like to work at this company? What is the day to day like? What are our values? What are our like goals, ambitions? I think that tying that into kind of like your presentation package or you presenting the company to students would ease a lot of that concern. Yeah, it's like a lot of things in this time are very uncertain, but I think that doing whatever you can to kind of like limit that concern and making yourself familiar to people so that they'll feel like the most comfortable going forward when they make a decision would be like very, very helpful.
Yeah, it's a good answer. And I will also chime in there. A lot of our students who are, in Atlanta don't always get to travel to the West Coast to accept offers, or even up the road. Bringing students to your facilities was always encouraged, but not everybody had that capability. So for a lot of students, yes, that's going to be a concern. For others, they're just going to sign on the dot and be like, yes, have this internship, and not ask questions. Right? I see the smiles and you're like, yeah, I got an internship. I'm ready to go. But for others, that question is going to be, a different response for those who are just looking for something during this time. I know that you are working on personal projects this summer, just to kind of build your skills. Anyone else doing that? I mean, Amaya, you're in an internship right now, but are you taking the time to work on your personal development?
No, not at the moment. So with how my internship is set up, it being my first one, I'm pretty much devoting most of my energy to what I'm doing right now. Maybe later on, as we approach school, I've thought of like picking up something that I could just like play around with. But for my like first few weeks of development, I really wanted to focus. So not at the moment.
Yep. Alvin?
So like I just submitted a like hackathon project. It was like a simple like iOS app, like voice recognition. So it was for like a Facebook online hackathon, and I just thought it was a cool thing to do like while I was doing my internship. Like, hey, can I learn more about Swift? Can I do more of this? And I think I'm about to start like another personal project with my friend Keshav. We've been working on maybe like a online JS like web app.
Yeah. Helena, same. I know that you said you're doing that, but why did you choose to do that this summer and take classes?
I'm not currently taking classes, but
instead of taking classes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm out of state, so taking classes is kind of expensive anyway. Plus I'm gonna be a senior, so I would just need like one more year of classes. So I was just like, why not? But before I had an internship lined up with Berkeley, ended up getting canceled because of COVID-19. So I applied around to a couple of other things, but I didn't get accepted. So I was like, just like, you know what? I've always wanted to like kind of pause and have time to myself to really like work on myself and developing my skills. Because I remember like being in school and always being stressed out about that. And I'm like, this is like the prime opportunity to do that. Like whatever I want to learn, then I can take initiative in that and learn that. So currently I'm learning more about like JavaScript and like React and web apps. Because that's something that I worked with last summer that I really enjoyed at my internship. So I just want to like further that skill set and really work on that. And then also since I am a senior and I'm looking for jobs, I'm taking time to really kind of like examine my personal brand and kind of work on that too, like making sure that I'm presenting myself in the best way possible. And that I kind of really know what I want when it comes to recruiting in the fall and like looking for a job. Like I'll have my like kind of goals set out instead of being like, what's the first job offer I'll get? I can sign off on that or something. So just kind of like getting myself together and really taking the time to like reflect and prepare myself.
Right. So I've got a couple more questions. One is, what is your strategy for the fall? right? Are you looking at the fair? Are you looking at CAP engagements? Are you looking at, I'm going to do it myself, right? And then again, this is for Alvin, Amaya, and Helena. Again, I know you're going to be doing research, Jason, but I know you're going to still be looking at my emails and looking at opportunities as they come through. So big ups for that. But what is your strategy? What are you going to be doing to get more comfortable this fall? Or your peers? What have you talked about with friends?
So with everything being so uncertain, I think that now is a time where everyone's going to look to the COC more than ever, because they're like, okay, it's just, there's so much going on. I don't really know if I'm doing the right thing. I don't know how to approach it. So I think having those, emails, those resources, events with student orgs is going to be, extremely even more helpful now. So that's personally what I'm going to keep doing, looking out for the emails, attending the virtual events, the career fair, all of the regular. But I think that now it's going to be crucial to pay attention to those things.
Yeah. Alvin, did you want to chime in?
Well, I would just say, I totally agree with that. I think we're going to be looking more towards, hey, can I go to the career fair? Hey, am I going to attend these, day in the lobby events, with these companies, just to learn more about, what they do and, how they do it. And I think, it's great that we have, these resources available to us.
Any recommendations for our partners? We're coming up on the hour, so I just want to see, do you all have any recommendations as students to employers going forward, including their branding? I know I put you on the spot there. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I don't know. I would definitely say. Was that? Yeah, I would definitely say getting involved with COC as much as possible will definitely be to your benefit, just because Amaya said, people will be looking to the COC more than ever, because that's kind of where everyone goes when they're unsure of what's going on, what events are happening. So getting involved with the COC as much as possible is great. Kind of creating an environment of transparency and being informative towards students, because students are going to be concerned with how is this internship or job going to look? Will I have a security in these areas? What's the culture like? So yeah, definitely being informative and transparent with students will allow them to feel more comfortable about wanting to work with you in the future in whatever capacity that may be. So
yeah. Alvin, I know, again, I'm going to put you on the spot, but I asked you a while back, how are you engaging, right? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you following companies? Are those some of the things that you're going to be looking for on the social media side with employers?
Right. So yeah, I'm on LinkedIn pretty often. I'm on Instagram a lot. I think, a big platform for a lot of us is Instagram, right? We check it pretty, 20 minutes at least a day, right? And so if, employers can do more of that, reaching out to people, through these mediums like LinkedIn or Instagram per se, I think that'll be a great way of reaching people in the COC.
Cool. All right. So before we get to, we're right at 1 o'clock. I'm going to turn this back over to Paul Schultz. Thank you all, Helena, Amaya, Jason, and Alvin, for joining us today. Hope we got most of your questions answered in that Q&A. But yes, I'm going to turn this back over to Paul Schultz so that he can wrap us up and let us answer any additional questions after this.
Thanks, Kristen. Thank you to our current companies that are our partners in our CAP program and those that are considering to be a partner. But a special thank you to our students who are on the panel today. We'll be sharing the recording post-event to all partners. But please reach out to me if you need additional information pertaining to our CAP program. Megan, Alicia, and Kristen and I are available to discuss the various benefits as a company that you need to recruit our students. Thank you for attending, and best wishes.